Well, welcome back to Life on Cars. And in today's episode, I want to talk about the air aspirator. You see, we've had a few messages on our Instagram page with various requests for videos, and one of the ones that keeps popping back up from various people, they're asking about this, the air aspirator, and whether or not it can be cleaned, serviced, whatever, to try and stop it from being so noisy. If you're wondering what I'm on about, there's a little grill behind the driver's steering wheel, and inside there is a tiny little fan, if you like, with a tiny electric motor attached to it, and that draws in air, and I believe it samples the air temperature, and they do buzz all the time. I can hear mine buzzing now, just sat in the car here. So I thought we'll have a little look at it. We'll have a bit of an investigation, see what we can do, see what ideas we can come up with, whether it is possible to make it quieter or not. So hopefully you enjoy the video. So let's get into it and see what we have to do. So this is where it lives. It lives behind this panel here, and I believe those three slots there are where the air is taken in and sampled. Don't know if you can hear that on the video. At mine, it kind of goes like the pitch of the noise goes up and down all the time. So anyway, to get into it, it's going to be a case of removing this panel here that goes around the steering wheel. So step one, we're going to power down the steering wheel as far as it'll go, just so that we've got more access to this trim. And this just gently pulls away. So just gently, left and right, just gently give it a bit of a tug, get your fingers behind it. That's the left side loose. So I'm just going to gently put my fingers behind the trim here and slowly. There we are, it's gone. It'll go with a click, and then you'll be able to remove this trim. So there it is. There's the aperture for the aspirator fan, which is down that hole. That white thing is some kind of sensor, some kind of temperature sensor, I think. Can you hear mine buzzing? So I'm going to slacken this screw off, just see if how easy it is to extract this and have a look at it. So interestingly, I've already discovered that if I slacken that screw off a bit, it does actually quieten off. I think what's happening is the fan itself is actually causing a vibration through the mounting, through the dashboard. So when I tighten that up, it buzzes quite loudly. I don't know if you can hear that on the video. And then if I slacken that off, just change a bit, but I can still hear it. So I think I'm going to extract the whole unit out and have a look at it. So I've taken the screw out which holds it in. That's a T15 torque screw. If you end up investigating yours, you'll see what I mean. As soon as I hold that into the mounting point, I get a louder vibration. And then when I take it out, it's quieter. Buzz. Quiet. I can feel the unit vibrating in my hand because the fan's spinning now. I can actually feel air coming out of the slot there. So I think that's the fan just behind there. But this isn't where this doesn't disconnect, or is not supposed to. The connector's down inside there somewhere. And for the life of me, I can't feel it, so I think it's going to be a case of, to take the unit fully out, I'm going to have to remove this lower trim. So I'll get on with that now. So I've just dropped this hush panel down, as we learnt what it was called from a previous video when we took the one off the passenger side. So this is the one that goes underneath the pedal box, and it's held on by a couple of plastic clips. So we'll set that to one side, get that out of the way, and then what we're going to do is we're going to remove this Torx screw here, which is near the OBD socket. And then over on the other side of the trim, you'll see two more T25s, and it's this inner one here that we need to remove. Alright, so we've got a couple of we've got the bottom screws out, and there's a T30 both sides of the top there and there. So far I've needed, if you're going to do this yourself, so it looks like you do need to take this bottom trim off to get to the connector for the aspirator. So if you want to replace your aspirator, you're going to have to do this to get to the connector. So you will need a T30, you'll need a T15 for the screw that holds the aspirator in, and you'll need a T25 for the bottom screws. So let's we're going to whip these T30s out now, and I think this bottom panel underneath the steering wheel, this one here, will, with all this, will come away, and then we'll be able to see where the connector is. I'm almost sure there's going to be a screw behind this side trim as well. So let's just get this off and have a look. Just pops off. Yeah, there's three clips. Yeah, there's a screw there, look. Another one that needs to come out to get this trim off. It's another T30. Hope you guys are appreciating this, me stripping my lovely Jag down just for the sake of you guys on YouTube. She's a noisy little bugger, isn't she? Anyway, all them screws are out, so I think this should just... Jesus. Yeah, it's definitely come off. That just basically fell off, guys. That lower trim. So, just let that hang down there. Now, bloody hell, look at these great big brackets. What on earth are those for? Bloody hell. That's interesting. There's another one on this side. Must just be for strength, I guess, but wouldn't want your knees piling into them in an accident, would you? How bizarre. They just sit behind that lower trim. Wow. Interesting. Look, guys, I've got a pile of bits on the floor now, so we must be able to get the get to the connector. Oh yeah, it's there. Look. Let's see if I can bring you in. Can you see that grey connector behind there? That's it. Look, there's the cable going up to the aspirator. So we just need to disconnect that connector there. Let me just zoom you in on that. See, it's neat. It's are you gonna focus? Yeah. There's the connector. There we are. Disconnected. So now I'll be able to bring this all the way out. There we are. There it is off the car. Right, let's have a closer look at this. Alright guys, so this is the offending article. So there is a foam gasket on the back there. I think it's glued to the where the screw goes through. So that could be something that you may want to investigate potentially. I've just had a thought there whether you could maybe fabricate a new one out of rubber or something like that, because one thing's for sure, you definitely won't be able to get that part separately from Jaguar. I'm just wondering if, because mine does look a bit squashed, especially around the screw, and I'm wondering if this padding might be contributing, or lack of padding might be contributing to the noise from the little fan, which I can see is inside there. Look, I don't know if you can see that. Bring it in a bit closer. You see the little fan blade there. Look, you see it? So I'm going to have a go at taking this to bits. What the hell, I've got this far, I've got it off. Let's see what happens and see if we can actually get to the fan itself. So this looks like some sort of rubberized gasket in there, I think. So there's some sort of cover here that just pops off, that just exposes the circuit board in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to depress those little lugs. Like so. I've got a feeling that this will come out. So I can see this. Oh, there's another one here. Just get that. There we are. There's our little fan. Well, you can actually take that off. That's the armature in there, and that's the magnet. And I guess that's just a little bearing in the end of there. So there is a bit of dirt on the fan blade. So I'm going to clean that off with a cotton bud, because what I'm thinking, this is so small that anything like a bit of dirt on these little blades could be throwing the balance off as it's spinning. So, and then I think I'm going to put a tiny little bit of grease on that shaft, and that just might help to rebalance this. So I'll get this little fan blade cleaned up, and then we'll see where we go from there. Nothing else in there, just the sensor. Oh, there's quite a lot of dust in there as well. So yeah, you might find yours is a bit like mine, and there's a bit of dust and stuff in there that might need cleaning out. So let's just give these bits a little clean, and then you'll come back to me putting it back together. Oh, gee. Nasty. All them years of sucking air into it, I guess. It's quite mucky, that. So yeah, what this part does, guys, is it basically sucks in air to sample the temperature, I believe, of the cabin air for the HVAC, for the heat and ventilation, and an aircon. So just a bit of a quirky little thing that Jaguar invented. I've had another thought about this. If yours is really bugging you, the noise, then you could. I've just been thinking about whether you could relocate this somewhere else. You know, now that it's been removed, could it be possibly put underneath the pedal box somewhere? You know, further out of the way, where you don't hear it. That might be something you want to look into at your own risk, sort of thing. But God, it's nasty, that, isn't it? But that might be another option rather than buying a new one. Would be to relocate it. But I'm going to persevere. I'm going to see what this is like after I've cleaned it all up and lubricated it. Just going to put a tiny little bit of grease on the end of that shaft. And then I'm going to pop the little fan blade back on and put it back together. There we are, that's gone back in. This is just a cover for the back of the circuit board. And the cables just come out the side like that. Well, that's all gone back together. That's fairly easy to do. Fairly easy to clean out. So, yeah. Guess we'll build it up and see what happens. I'll tell you what, I am tempted. I'm tempted to see if I can find a little rubber washer to go on that side there, you know, without being crushed and not as good as it was when it was new. I'm just tempted to maybe see if I can find a little rubber washer that might just go between the dashboard and the unit, you know, as it goes back on. So if I put a rubber washer under there, maybe just a bit of extra padding or even a bit of sponge, I don't know. See what I've got in the toolkit. I've been rooting through my various drawers in the garage and I've come across these little foam pads, and unfortunately guys, I don't know where they came from or what they were. I've got no recollection of where I ended up. I've got a bag of them, so I'm thinking that when I put this back together, I might just put one of them behind the screw like that. Stick that on because I think it's adhesive, and just put the screw through there for a bit of extra padding at the bottom of the. Like I said to you before when I was in the kitchen, it's quite crushed. That it's not really doing anything anymore. That bit around the screw hole, so yeah, I might persevere with a bit of extra padding on the back there. When I put it back together, I'll bring you into the car when I get to that stage. So there you can see what I've done. I've just put a bit of extra padding around the part where the screw goes through, so the screw will pierce through that padding. And I don't know, it may make a difference. I don't know. We'll see when we get it back together. Right, I'm going to reassemble it now. I don't think you need to watch the whole reassembly process. If I come across anything tricky, I'll film it, the rebuild procedure, because it's basically the reversal of what we've done to take it apart. Well guys, I've just screwed that back into position and cycled the ignition, and believe it or not, that's running there. I can only just hear it. Wow, that's so much quieter. Now, is that because of the insulation that I put on the end of the screw, or is it the fact that I lubricated the shaft for the fan, or a combination of both? I don't know, but that's really quiet and I haven't even got the trims back on yet. I bet you can't even hear that on the video, but I'm not joking guys, that is actually running there. Super quiet. Wow. Right, that's all the lower trim back on. All the screws back in, top and bottom. So all that's left to do now is to pop the trim back on over the top of the steering wheel. So there we are, that's ready to go back on now. Just going to make sure I can feel them going into the slot before I give it a push. Been having a few problems getting this rear line, guys, so I'm just trying something else, see if this works. I've taken the clips off and I'm actually going to locate them in the slots first and then offer the trim back up. I think that might do it. So take your little trim clips and pop them in the hole first. They'll click in like that. And then offer your trim up to the aperture once those clips are clicked in place. That's it, that's got it. Yeah, so there's a top tip for you. Do not try to fit the clips to this and then push that in. You need to put the clips behind in place first on the slots that they go into, and then push the steering wheel trim in after that. Otherwise you'll have a chew on. Well, it took me about an hour or so, maybe a bit longer, but I'm quite pleased with the result. It's at least 50% quieter, maybe more. All I can hear is a very faint buzzing noise. Let's just close the driver's door. All you can hear is a very faint buzzing, but it's so much quieter than it was before. The other thing I noticed while I've been working on the car is eventually the car goes into battery saver mode. So if you're working with the door open, after about 5 minutes the interior lights turn off and the aspirator fan stops as well. So if you want to test it, you've got to cycle the ignition again and then it'll start to run. But yeah, have a flick back to the start of the video and tell me what you think. The difference between before and after. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that little investigation on the air aspirators there. Quite an interesting little job, wasn't it? And it looks like it's been another success for getting rid of some of the noise. It wasn't actually bothering me too much, but the only time it's bothering me, sometimes we take a run out to the coast, sit in the car, eating fish and chips, and you know, you could hear it buzzing away. So yeah, hopefully now we won't notice it so much, but it's just one of those little quirks of the Jaguar XK. And if you fancy having a go of doing that yourself, if yours is particularly noisy and it's getting on your nerves, then good luck. I hope the video helps you with that process. And if you did like the video, please give me a like, give me a subscribe as well. If you haven't already done so, that would be fantastic as we build the channel. And there'll be more videos coming on very soon on Life on Cars. Take care, safe driving, and see you very soon.